Open this safe and my $200 million is yours. That's what he said, drunk angry in front of a room full of experts. And then he turned and laughed at me, the black maid's kid in a cartoon t-shirt, like the punchline was my existence. 60 seconds later, his uncrackable safe was wide open. His secrets were bleeding out in front of everyone, and the man who owned that mansion realized the smallest person in the room had just pulled the pin on his entire life. Yeah, that happened. My name is Malachi, and I want you to really hear this because people think this is a story about a safe and some crazy payout, but that's not what this is. This is a story about control, about quiet cruelty, about what happens when a man believes his money makes him untouchable, and everybody else believes staying silent is the only way to survive. And somehow in the middle of all that, it became my life. Let me take you back to the start. Wells Stevenson, 48 years old, billionaire CEO, the kind of man who didn't just like control, he breathed it. 12-acre estate, iron gates with spikes, cameras on every angle, guards who looked like they'd been hired to protect a dictator, marble floors that punished any sound you made. The kind of house where everything whispers, "This is not your world." My mom Paige cleaned that world. 10 years. No drama, no sick days, unless she was literally collapsing, no talking back. The kind of perfect employee people like Wells love because she shows up, keeps her head down, and doesn't ask why her paycheck never seems to match the respect she gives. We lived in a one-bedroom apartment with a leaking faucet and a front door that didn't always lock, but inside his house, everything she touched was spotless. That's where I come in. Spring break, school closed, no money for childcare, no family nearby to help. My mom woke me up at 4:30 in the morning, kissed my forehead and said, "Baby, you're coming with me, but you listen to me very carefully now." We were in that tiny kitchen, bad light, cheap coffee smell. "You stay in the staff room, all right? You stay quiet, you stay put, you don't wander, you don't touch anything, you don't talk to Mr. Stevenson. You are invisible in that house, Malachi. Invisible. If he never sees you, you're safe. You understand?" I nodded because I did, or I thought I did. I'm good with numbers, I'm good with words, and I remember things. Really remember. Teachers called it photographic memory. Eidetic gifted all those fancy words that don't change the price of groceries. I could read a page once and quote it back. I could see a pattern one time and keep it forever. But in my mom's world, in Wells's house, my job wasn't to stand out, it was to disappear. First morning there, I'm in the staff break room, if you can call that little white box a room, swinging my legs, reading a book about space. My shirt's bright, my shoes are cheap, my backpack's older than it should be. I'm not bothering anybody. Then he walks in. He's on the phone talking too loud, talking like people only exist to receive his instructions. He stops mid-sentence when he sees me like I'm a stain on his perfect picture. "What is this?" My mom appears so fast you'd think she teleported. "My son, sir, school's on break. I couldn't find anyone to watch him. I promise he'll stay out of the way." He looks at me the way some people look at something stuck to their shoe. "I don't run a daycare," he says. "Keep him out of my sight and make sure he doesn't touch anything. You know how these kids are." These kids. You know what I mean? He walks out. My mom's hand is shaking when she touches my face. "Do what I told you, baby, please." That week I learned exactly what kind of man he was. The kind who never said black directly when the cameras were around, but said, "You people," with that twist in his lip. The kind who'd crack a joke about sticky fingers when I carried cleaning supplies. The kind who'd see my advanced math book and laugh. "Advanced math, huh?" he said once, twisting off the cap on his water. "Somebody should tell these kids to aim lower. Better than being disappointed." He walked away. I stared down at equations blurring on the page. My mom found me 10 minutes later, pulled me into that cramped room and whispered, "He's wrong. You hear me? He's wrong." But her eyes were full of the same fear that told me she also needed that job too much to say anything louder. So I did exactly what she told me. I stayed quiet. I stayed small. I stayed invisible. And then one night I saw the one thing I was never supposed to see. It was after some gala where they gave him a crystal trophy for philanthropic leadership. Yeah, that still makes me laugh. He came home drunk, tie, loose shirt, untucked, bragging to nobody about how generous and brilliant he was. Mom and I were upstairs finishing up. She was changing linens in a guest room. I was dusting picture frames in the hallway. His study door was cracked open. He stumbled in there talking to himself. I shouldn't have looked, but when you're a kid and the world tells you to be invisible, you become really, really good at watching. I see the safe for the first time. This huge steel monster bolted into the floor, taller than me by a mile. Custom-built Waldy's Ultra Resistance Class 7, no electronics, no keys, no nothing, just a dial and madness. I didn't know the specs then, but I could feel the energy in the room. This was his god. He put his hand on it and said, "My fortress. Nobody opens this. Not the manufacturers, not thieves, not the people who clean my toilets. Just me." Then he did the dumbest thing a paranoid genius could do. He showed off. He started spinning the dial and narrating the combination like he was filming a tutorial. Left 3 full turns and stop at 47 the year my old man died and left me everything. Right 2 times to 23, my lucky number, first big poker win. Left once to 91 the year I started this empire. And finally right to 15, first big deal, 15 million. Click. Door opens. From the hallway, from that tiny sliver of angle, I saw stacks of cash papers, bond certificates, folders, so many folders. He admired it all like a dragon with his hoard, then locked it again, still narrating. You gotta know both ways opening and closing, that's the genius. Nobody cracks that. He passed out on the leather couch. Mom called my name softly. I stepped away like I hadn't seen anything. But here's the thing. My brain doesn't forget. Left 3 to 47, right 2 to 23, left 1 to 91, right to 15, reverse to close. Perfect, permanent filed. I didn't plan to use it, I didn't tell anyone I had it, it felt like holding a live grenade in my pocket. But life has this way of taking what you didn't ask for and forcing you to decide what you're gonna do with it. 6 days later, everything explodes. It starts simple. He needs critical documents for a $400 million merger. Offshore info contracts all locked in his beautiful, unbreakable safe. He strolls in, spins, the dial yanks the handle. Nothing. He frowns, tries again. This time slower. Left, right, something teen, something 90. Nothing. For a man like that, panic doesn't arrive all at once, it seeps in. By mid-morning, he's sweating. By noon, he's yelling on the phone to Switzerland. I need an override. Sir, you signed papers stating no override exists. What if I forget? Then the safe remains locked. He hangs up, throws the phone, drains another glass. Days go by. He hires team after team. Guys with decades of experience, specialized mics, modeling software gear that hums and beeps and looks like it belongs in a movie. They run the numbers, they listen to tumblers, they map tolerances. They all come back with the same bad news. Without the combination or blueprints, this could take months, maybe years, and high chance we destroy what's inside if we force it. Meanwhile, deals are collapsing, lawyers are calling, his board is freaking out, regulators are asking questions. His legend is leaking. And I am still there in that house, sitting small in corners, watching everything. Day 6. His study doesn't look like a temple anymore, it looks like a battlefield. Cables on the floor, laptops, open coffee cups everywhere, dark circles under expert eyes. My mom is in the next room vacuuming, pretending not to hear his tantrums. I'm in the corner with my backpack, pretending to read, nobody paying attention to the kid. Then Wells pours himself another whiskey, his hand shaking this time, his eyes unfocused, and he does it. If anyone can crack this safe, he says loud, desperate, $200 million is theirs. I don't care who does it, just open the damn thing. And the room goes still. Sasha, the lead specialist, sharp eyes, tired but dangerous, looks at him. You want to put that in writing, Mr. Stevenson? He grabs a sheet of letterhead, scrawls it out, signs, dates it, slams the pen down. There, anyone. You all heard me. Phones are already out. Someone quietly records. Someone takes a photo of that paper. And in the corner, my heart starts pounding. Anyone. Not any expert, not any adult, not anyone I personally approve of. Just anyone. If it were you sitting there with that combination burned into your mind like your own name, watching your mother's shoulders fold a little more under every insult, knowing rent is late and the car is dying, what would you have done? I'll tell you what I did. I argued with myself. He hates you. He'll never pay you. You'll get your mom fired. You'll get hurt. You'll make it worse. Stay invisible. Stay safe. And then another voice, smaller but sharper. He said, anyone. I stood up. Excuse me, Mr. Stevenson, can I try? You could feel the temperature drop. Tools stopped. Conversations broke off. Sasha turned. My mom shut off the vacuum like someone hit her spine. Every person in that room looked from that giant safe to the tiny kid in the bright t-shirt. Wells stared at me, then he laughed loud and mean. The helps kid wants to crack my safe, he said. You all seeing this? This is what happens when you let them hang around, they start thinking they belong. He looked me up and down. This is a multi-million-dollar security system, boy, not a toy. Go sit down before I have your mom thrown out for bringing you here. I swallowed, but I didn't move. You said anyone, sir? Behind him, Sasha spoke up, calm. He's right. You didn't put conditions on it. You signed it in front of all of us. One of the techs raised his phone. I recorded the offer. And right there, Wells boxed himself in. His ego wouldn't let him back down, not in front of people he'd just thrown millions at to fail. His hatred wouldn't let him treat me like a full human either. He sneered. Fine, let him try. When he fails, maybe he'll learn where people like him belong. And you, he pointed at my mom as she ran and eyes wet, we'll discuss your judgment. My mom whispered, Malachi, baby, please don't. And I wish I could tell you I was brave and sure, but I was terrified. I was shaking. I walked to that safe anyway. Up close, it was bigger than it looked. dial at grown man chest height way above my face. I had to stretch fingers barely hooking the metal. I closed my eyes. The hallway, the drunken brag, the dial spinning, the numbers. My brain played it back in full HD. Left 3 complete turns, 47, right 2 turns, 23, left 1, 91, right 15. I spun, carefully counting in my head, feeling each pass. The room was quiet enough I could hear people breathing. I stopped on 15. For a second, nothing. Wells smirked. See, just a click. That sound deep and final cut him off. I grabbed the handle with both hands and pulled. The safe door swung open, smooth, heavy, undeniable. Cash, bonds, offshore printouts, double books, names that should never have been in the same folder. Time under 60 seconds. Pattern interrupt. The kid did it. That's impossible, someone whispered. Sasha laughed once, this disbelieving breath. Oh my God, he actually did it. Wells's whiskey slipped from his hand, shattered on the marble liquid, spreading like a shadow. Then his face changed, and for the first time I saw him without the mask. He came at me. In one move, he closed the distance, grabbed a fistful of my shirt, yanked me off my feet. How did you know that? He screamed, spit hitting my face. Did your mother tell you? Did you break in here? Did you steal from me, you little thief? You people are all the same. My mom lunged toward us. He shoved her so hard she hit the wall and slid down. I'll never forget the sound she made. I cried out, I saw you that night. You said it out loud. I just remembered. But he shook me again. Nobody remembers like that. Not some project kid, not you. And in that exact second, he made the biggest mistake of his life. Because he forgot something. This time the cameras were pointed at him. Sasha grabbed his arm, twisted his wrist until he dropped me. Touch him again and I'm calling the police right now. Around the room, phones were already held up. Video rolling, audio clear. She turned the screen toward him. We have your offer on tape. Your signature. Him opening the safe. You assaulting a child. You shoving his mother. You want to keep talking. He went from red to pale in one breath. His response, I'm not paying him a damn cent, he snapped. You think I'm giving $200 million to some welfare kid who got lucky I was drunk? No court will honor that. Get out. All of you. And you, he pointed at Mom. You're fired. You and your little criminal out of my house. I'll make sure nobody hires you again. And that right there is where he thought the story ended. It was actually the twist, because while he was raging, Sasha was looking into the open safe, her brain doing math. Offshore banks, shell companies, double ledgers, contracts with numbers that did not add up. She started taking pictures. So did the others. What are you doing? That's private, he shouted. That looks like evidence, she said. And after what we just recorded, I don't really trust your definition of private. We walked out of that mansion with nothing in our hands except what they had on their phones. My mom holding me like she wanted to fold me back into her ribcage. I was scared. She was shaking. The mansion shrank in the rear window. It felt like we'd just survived a storm by accident. But the real storm was still coming. Stick around because what happened next will blow your mind. Sasha didn't just go home and sleep. She parked outside a 24-hour diner, opened her laptop, pulled all the clips from everyone who'd recorded. No dramatic cuts, no special effects, just the truth. The billionaire's offer. The written promise. My quiet ask. His racist rant. The 60-second safe crack. The assault. The threats. The refusal to pay. She uploaded it. Within hours, people were sharing it. By morning, my face and his were on every screen. Billionaire CEO offers $200 to anyone who can open his uncrackable safe, then attacks 10-year-old black boy who does it. You can imagine the reactions. Do you think that's fair? Make a promise. Watch a kid outsmart the room. Then call him a thief for doing exactly what you dared him to do. Civil rights orgs called, lawyers called, former employees called saying, yeah, that sounds like him, I've got emails. The hashtag Pay Malachi started trending. Then came Justice for Malachi. And then something even worse for him. Federal investigators called, because those safe photos, they'd already been forwarded. Turned out that fortress of his didn't just hold cash, it held a roadmap to 15 years of fraud, tax evasion, money laundering, shady contracts. When you build your empire on lies and then keep all the paperwork in one box, an open door is a loaded gun pointed at your own head. Search warrants, raids, forensic accountants, board meetings without him, sponsors backing away, partners freezing him out. While he was still screaming on TV about being taken out of context, agents were cataloging every number he'd hoped no one would ever see. On our end, we sat in a conference room that smelled like old coffee while a team of serious, sharp lawyers laid everything out. 1, he made a clear offer on camera. 2, he signed it. 3, you performed exactly what he asked. 4, he assaulted you. 5, he retaliated against your mother. 6, there is a pattern of documented discrimination from other workers. We're not asking him for a favor. We're coming for what he owes. It wasn't just about me anymore. Drivers, cleaners, assistants, managers, people with stories they'd swallowed for years started stepping forward. Underpayment slurs threats. A class action formed. 67 people. Wells tried to fight back, of course. PR statements. Carefully worded non-apologies. One disaster of an interview where he said the offer wasn't serious. I must have been coached. The video was misleading. They just played more of it. It made him look worse. Eventually, the law did what the law sometimes actually does. In court, they played the whole thing. His cocky promise, his signature, my voice asking to try, his mockery racial digs threats, the moment the safe opened, his hands on me, my mom hitting the wall, the open safe showing a crime scene made of paper. His lawyers said alcohol, stress, misunderstanding anything but what it really was. The jury didn't buy it. He was found liable for the promise, guilty on multiple financial crimes, guilty for what he did to me, guilty for what he did to people who worked for him like my mom. The settlement and judgments broke his empire's back. But this is where people start arguing in the comments, so let's talk about it plain. Yes, a huge part of that money came to our side. Yes, they called it life-changing. Yes, people said must be nice. You know what they never ask about? The cost, the death threats, the interviews, the headlines with my 10-year-old face like I was an object instead of a kid who barely slept. The way my mom jumped when someone knocked on the door. The way every mistake I make now feels like it's happening on a stage. We didn't go buy a yacht. We bought a house where the door locks properly. My mom started nursing school like she'd always wanted. I got into programs where my brain is a gift, not a problem. And we built a foundation in my name that doesn't belong to me, it belongs to kids like me. Kids who are brilliant and broke and written off. People who are abused at work and think silence is their only option. We pay for lawyers, we fund tutors, we show up where cameras usually don't. Do I think $200 million fixes what he did? No. Do I think being forced to pay a black kid the exact amount he flung out of his mouth to look powerful sent a message some people needed to hear? Yeah, I really do. But here's where I want you to sit with this, because the safe isn't the real story. The real story is how normal his behavior felt to everybody until there was video. My mom teaching me to be invisible wasn't crazy, it was survival. So many of you watching this right now were raised the same way. Keep your head down, don't cause trouble, laugh it off, you need that paycheck, they have the power. So let me ask you, how many Wells Stevensons are walking around right now with perfect LinkedIn pages and rotten hearts still doing this to people who don't get recorded? How many Malachis are out there being told to shrink so small that the world never finds out how sharp they are? How many times have you seen something wrong and told yourself, not my business, because you were scared or tired or alone? I'm not saying everybody needs to rush into danger. I was a scared kid who got very lucky that good people had cameras and spines, but I am saying this. Power counts on your silence. It counts on you believing you're nobody. And sometimes all it takes to crack the fortress is one small voice saying, "Can I try?" So now I want to hear from you. Do you think he should have been forced to pay the full amount he offered, or was that too much, too little, exactly right? Do you believe a promise made in anger should still count when it's caught on camera, and a kid holds up his end? Have you ever worked for someone who talked like Wells, who treated people like they were disposable, like my mom, like me? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Argue with me if you want to tell your own story, if you feel safe, because these conversations are the only way this stuff stops being shocking and starts being unacceptable everywhere, every time. If this story hits something in you, share it with someone who thinks money equals character, or someone who needs to be reminded their voice matters more than they think. And remember this, the next time you see something that feels wrong, that twist in your stomach, that moment where you're deciding who you are. The safe is open now, not just his ours, the one where we've been locking up all the ugly truths about power and prejudice. We've seen what's inside. The only question left is, what are you going to do with that?